In today's episode, let's read the plant profiles of a few incense ingredients. We'll be reading from the book by Thomas Kinkele, Incense and Incense Rituals, and we'll be seeing clove, nutmeg, holy basil of India, that's Tulsi, and vetiver, that's khas. Namaste everyone, and welcome to Om Incense Show with DJ, a show that helps you increase your incense quotient. So if you are an incense enthusiast, consider subscribing. So let's read this today, and you might want to treat this episode as a podcast. So grab your favorite snacks and beverage and just relax while I give you company. So let's start first with clove. The botanical name is Eugenia caryophyllata. Syzygium aromaticum. Belongs to myrtle plant, that's Myrtaceae. Part of plant used is buds. Elemental force is fire and emphasis is on body. This slender evergreen tree with a height of about 12 meters and smooth grey bark is said to originate in Indonesia. Today it is cultivated throughout the world, especially in the Philippines, Moluccas, and Madagascar. The dried flower buds of this tree are traded as cloves. Its traditional use is around the world. Clove buds are a familiar kitchen spice. As a medicinal tincture, it is applied to skin infections and parasite infestations as well as toothache. Tea extract and clove oil are used in traditional Chinese medicine to ease nausea, bad breath, and diarrhea. Clove buds are included in Indian, Tibetan, and Japanese incense sticks. The antiseptic effect of clove smoke was already recognized as valuable in the Middle Ages and was used to protect against forms of the plague. Clove smoke is said to be a very effective counter to all types of negative vibrations and attack, including those of aggressive insects. Burning the substance as incense is said to be sexually stimulating. The typically intense, spicy clove fragrance mixes well with eaglewood, elemi, styrax, benzoin, and frankincense. It can be easily modified with nutmeg and cinnamon to make up a tonifying mixture. The fragrance message says, recognizing the beginning and the end as two sides of the same coin and being able to let go of old burdens. Approaching something new with momentum. That was clove. So now we have nutmeg. Myristica fragrans, Nux moschata. Nutmeg plant also belongs to Myristiceae, and part of the plant used is seed, elemental force fire, emphasis is on body. The origin is this evergreen tree grows to a height of 20 meters and comes from the Moluccas. Today it is cultivated in India, Indonesia, and the Caribbean, West Indies. Nutmeg, the dried seeds from the fleshy fruit, is ground for use. The flowers, maize flowers, are also dried and have similar properties to nutmeg. Known worldwide primarily as an indispensable kitchen spice, nutmeg is also used medicinally as a remedy for digestive disorders, kidney ailments, and rheumatism. It has a stimulating and tonifying effect on the nervous system, and aphrodisiac qualities are also attributed to it. Myristicin, one of the main components of the essential oil, has hallucinogenic effects on the cerebral cortex, which is connected with motor activity. Less is more also applies to burning this spice, which according to occult schools has significance in promoting contact at spiritualist sessions. It is also burned to bring happiness and as protection from negative influences. Burning nutmeg as incense strengthens the power of the self and helps remedy indecisiveness. The fragrance message is, your will is your heavenly kingdom, and where there's a will, there is also a way. Everything is possible. So that was nutmeg. And before we go ahead, I'd just like to, tell you about the thing that we have about nutmeg in India here is that it is used as a little bit of it is made into paste, as it's rubbed on a stone, and then it's added to milk while boiling it. That's supposed to bring it's supposed to add a different kind of taste to it, and also when you make tea out of that milk, it's supposed to be very, very yummy. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, nutmeg is used heavily for infant care in India. So especially like in my house and in the region where I stay, which is the Bihar region, and I belong to this Maithil community. So we have this thing of rubbing nutmeg every morning while giving a massage to the infant, and we use that paste in the mustard oil with which we give a massage to our babies. And we also make them lick this along with either honey during winters, or it's mustard oil during summers, or if they have an upset tummy, then we give it to them with a little milk. So just a little bit of the paste, and we just put it on our fingers and let the child lick it, let the baby lick it. So that's one thing how we use nutmeg in India also. So just a tidbit that I wanted you to know about nutmeg. So that was nutmeg. And now let's read about the holy basil of India, that's Tulsi, which is an integral part of almost 99.9% of Indian homes. And mainly it's because mainly Hindus use it, and even though there are people from other cultures in India, it's mostly the Hindus who worship the Tulsi tree. And even though it's medicinally used by almost everybody, but spiritually, for spiritual pursuits, it's only the Hindus that use this tree. So we will be reading about the holy basil of India, that's Tulsi. So Tulsi is Ocimum sanctum, Ocimum tenuiflorum, and it's a labiate plant which belongs to the family of Labiataceae. Lamiaceae. I just find it very difficult to pronounce these names, and I hope I'm doing it right. And it's Indian basil, Tulsi, part of the plant, herbage, elemental force, air, and emphasis is on mind. So this important medicinal plant of the Hindus is found everywhere in northern India and Nepal. Planted around most temples, it is a branched annual herb of 30 to 60 centimeters in height and is of major economic value. And I'd want to add that it's of immense spiritual values to the Hindus, and we water it every morning after a bath. So once we give water to the sun god, we also give water to Tulsi. So that's how important it is. And every evening, any house that has a Tulsi plant has to have a lamp and an incense near it at the dawn. So that's how also we worship this. Now it says Tulsi has traditionally been used as a significant remedy with pain relieving and digestive effects, as well as for the treatment of malaria, respiratory disease, and insect bites. Perhaps more importantly, it is revered in rituals as a religious and spiritual plant offered to the deities Vishnu and Lakshmi. Health, happiness, prosperity, and virtues are the qualities prayed for when it is burnt as incense. It is also attributed to have a strong protective function when darkness prevails and negative forces threaten. Every Hindu household has its Tulsi plant. And before we go ahead, I'd just like you to know that Tulsi is also known as Vishnu's wife, and we have a ceremony in which Tulsi and Vishnu get worshipped. And most people who worship Vishnu in the form of Shaligram, that's a very nice, small, kind of a smooth, oval, round stone, and people always keep it in the Tulsi pot. And so he is married with Tulsi during the month of Kartik, that's in November sometimes. So that's also one thing I'd wanted you to know. Now, the notes on burning as incense is the fragrance tends to be pungent with a burnt smell. Becoming aware of unconscious processes may be the intention that needs strengthening. This incense can bequeath a pure aura, strengthening powers of resistance. Fragrance message is turning toward the light and becoming conscious. This force opens heart and mind. It says loving receptiveness. Now, one last thing I want you to know about Tulsi is that it is said that a house that has a lot of negative energy is a place where a Tulsi hardly ever remains, so she dries up. Also, when people with a high pitta kind of quality in their body is not something around which Tulsi survives. And the other thing is women who are menstruating are not supposed to go near the Tulsi plant because the Tulsi plant is extremely sensitive, and because the woman's body in that state is in a low energy state, so the Tulsi gets sapped, and that is the reason menstruating women are not allowed near Tulsi. It's not about anything else. So that's one thing also I wanted you to know about Tulsi. So that was Tulsi, the holy basil of India. And now let's read about Vetiver. It says Vetiveria zizanoides Andropogon muricatus. It's a grass plant which belongs to Poaceae family. It's also called khas or khaskhas, and the part of plant is root, elemental forces, earth, and emphasis is on body. The origin is a bunch grass with straight blades and long, narrow leaves. Vetiver comes from southern India, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka, but is now cultivated in many other parts of the world. It develops an extensive light root system and, among other things, serves to protect the soil from erosion. Also, Rajasthan has very good quality khas. In India, the traditional use is since ancient times the root has been highly prized for its fine fragrance. Even today, natives of these areas braid it into mats to keep out vermin and to create a pleasant aroma in the house. Vetiver has a calming and releasing effect in states of weakness and depression, nervous tension, and the like. It is used in spiritual dhoops and Ayurvedic incense recipes for detoxification and is known as the fragrance of the regenerating earth. For problems related to aging, it serves as a restorative tonic and cardiac. It is also known as an aphrodisiac and is burnt as incense for all types of sacred ceremonies. And incense roots are also put inside the clay pots that we use during the summers. It lends a very, very nice, very soothing, very subtle aroma to the water, and it is supposed to be very cooling for the entire body and mind. So that's how also we use khas. Vetiver combines well with sandalwood, opoponax, and benzoin. It is smoky, woody, earthy with a tart undertone and can be used in meditation mixtures to increase awareness of the body. And the khas attars that we get are almost always typically green in color because traditionally when it was made in the copper deg and bhabka, the copper would lend a green color to it because of the oxidation process. So the khas attar is almost always green in color. The fragrance message is when the long-awaited rain falls on parched earth, there is the smell of new life. Literally, every time you smell a vetiver, the khas roots is so amazing. It's so grounding. It's almost like sandalwood. It's very fine. It has a very, very nice aroma. That nice earthy, the kind of aroma that you get when rain falls on parched earth. The fragrance message is accepting and loving yourself. Now, so before we go, before we wrap up the episode, I'd just like you to know, just let me know what are the other ingredients that you want me to read here. And I just want to wrap up this episode with reading about Tejpat. And I'm saying Tejpat because this is what is mentioned here. It says Tejpat, and Tejpat is typically a term that we use in our households, and so that's Tejpat. So it's Cinnamomum tamala or Cinnamomum anise. Bay plant is Lauraceae. The synonyms are Tamalpatri, Tejpat. In Tamil, it is known as Talisha Pattiri. Part of the plant is leaves, elemental force is fire, and emphasis is on body. Related to the cinnamon family, this evergreen tree can be found in the tropics and subtropics of northern India, the Himalayas up to an elevation of 2500 meters, and also Burma. Its bark and leaves are used medicinally. The bark is often substituted for Ceylon cinnamon, even though the fragrance is completely different. The leaves contain a great deal of eugenol and cinnamonaldehyde and are known to be a powerful stimulant. Tejpat is used as a medicine for cough and fever and added as a spice to food to prevent flatulence and digestive disorders. Good results have been achieved in the treatment of diabetes mellitus. Because of this pleasant fragrance and stimulating effect, the leaves are also burnt as incense. In stimulating incense mixes, crushed leaves can be combined well with resins. The fragrance is green, powerfully spicy, and allows the energy level to rise. The fragrance message says a provocative mood that calls us to do the things that need to be done, setting off to new deeds. That's the fragrance message of Tejpat. So that's all that we had to read today. Just let me know if you want me to read about any more incense ingredients. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode and you learned something from it. Till we meet again next, take very good care of yourself. Namaste.